Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Hope you were well. Listen, let's get right to the point. Last night, I told everyone on this channel that I thought the new floor for Micron was 430, based on everything we saw from a technical analysis perspective, everything we were seeing for the market and how it performed. And I gave my prediction that 430 was going to be the new floor, and I thought the pathway for 450 was going to be open. I still remain very confident in this stock. But today, the market blew right through that floor. All right, it moved down in a rapid fashion down to as low as 402. And if you're feeling a bit shaken by today or feeling anxious, if you're a long-term holder of Micron, if you just purchase shares of Micron, you might feel a little anxious. If that's the case, I want to remind all of us, we just need to stop, take a breath, and realize these types of days happen on the market. We bought Micron because of the long-term view that we have for this stock, the belief in the fundamentals that we have for this stock. Nothing there has changed. There hasn't been any news stories that would break fundamentals for this company. In fact, we continue to believe they will have an amazing print on March 19th and show how strong the revenue and the fundamentals for the company they are. So let's just take a breath. The stock worked its way back to a support level of 415, and we're going to jump in and talk about that. But I believe, and I will say that I don't think the technical analysis was wrong in what we saw. I think there was some type of an event today. I will call it a black swan, call it whatever you want. In my opinion, there was some systematic liquidation that happened across the entire tech sector. When you see a company like NVIDIA that puts out the best print in the history of the company, and for the market to react and sell the news, not only on them, but across the entire sector, it felt odd. It felt like we just had some type of algorithmic selling and some institutional deleveraging that was happening and rotation out of the tech sector. I know many of them we worked back in the afternoon, and I think the story, we've kind of worked through it. I think the story will be positive moving forward. And I actually have a few major trades that I want to share with you. One that I think will help demonstrate why the floor broke, and one I think will give us a bullish signal of what we could expect for tomorrow, at least the way I would view it. So in this video, we're going to review the action of the stock today. It was a wild ride. So let's take a look at that. And then we're going to take a look at the tape of a couple of big trades, a couple of big whale moves. One that I think demonstrated why the floor broke. And the second one, it gives us a bullish view as we head into tomorrow. Because in my opinion, guys, the mechanics behind Micron are strong. The fundamentals are strong. The mechanics today in the market felt odd. And the price action to me felt like it was a systematic liquidation that was happening. This was not a Micron failure. It wasn't an individual company. It was across the entire sector. So we're going to jump in and talk about that specifically. But if you haven't done it already, hit like, hit subscribe to the channel. I appreciate you guys taking your time. And just remember, I'm not a financial advisor. I'm sharing my opinions and my view, my analysis to hopefully make you a more informed and better investor. But make sure you do your own research. You're the one who's taking the risk. Make sure it's the right fit for you and it fits into your risk tolerance. But let's take a look at the action for today. All right, I'm going to start off and we're just going to look at the stock itself today. So let's just jump over, and you can see the stock opened up, see on your screen, it opened up at 425, $4 off right out of the gate. And then it just spiraled down. So look at the volume below. I'll pull this up so you can see it. Look at the volume that we're seeing here, how abnormal that is compared to the volume the rest of the time. Significant sign there was some major algorithmic selling that was happening. Look at all those red spikes, and we see it drop down. This stock got down within the first hour of the market, down to about 402 a share. Really low. We haven't seen that level in quite a bit. It rallied back and found support, got back up to this 415 range, as you can see here, 412, 415, got up to about 419 by the 2 o'clock hour, and then ended the day just under 416 a share. So it seems like we found this new support level of 412, 415 for the stock. So definitely great sign to see that we didn't go past the 402 level. We didn't break 400. We found support there and got back up and found a new level of support in that 412, 415 a share from Micron. So that gives me some optimism of the stock overall. But let's talk a little bit about what we saw today and what were some reasons for it. So the biggest piece to me, guys, is and it's hard to explain. It's the way the market operates now. We saw it with the hyperscalers. You have a great print, and in the past you would lead, and you could even have great guidance. In the past, the stock would respond positively. Now you see it operate very differently. These hyperscalers and now NVIDIA, you have a sell-off, a sell the news, and the companies take a few weeks to respond and build back some of that equity, that market cap that they lose right after a very successful print. And today, like as I was mentioned, we had technical analysis coming into the market today that screamed that 430 was the new floor for Micron. And NVIDIA's, we had support, we had momentum, we had an outstanding beat from NVIDIA, but Wall Street played a different game today. We didn't see a Micron failure. We saw a forced liquidation event across the entire semiconductor space. That's important to remember. This wasn't an individual company failure. This was the whole semiconductor space. Even the equipment suppliers were down significantly at one point. Shockingly, the only thing was up was software companies. We had a rotation back into them. And it's interesting because it's a bit of a paradox. NVIDIA had a great earnings, $68 billion in the quarter, guidance for $78 billion. They beat and raised the expectations the market had for them. And what did the big institutions do? They looked for the exit and liquefied. They did a liquidation to the exit. And when you see the king of the semiconductor space and the king of the tech sector space drop by 5%, it triggered a whole basket selling event that went across the entire tech sector, because algorithms don't care about the technical analysis that you do. They don't care about the 430 floor that we believe is there for Micron. They're programmed to sell the entire sector. They are programmed to rebalance their portfolio if you see a drop. And when a leader falters like like NVIDIA, it forced Micron's support through the floor on a pure momentum level, not on a fundamental level for the company. Now, the one piece I think I mentioned in my video this morning about NVIDIA is that Jensen did verify that Samsung has passed the validation for their HBM4. There could be some real sensitivity to that piece overall as well. So when that news hit the tape overnight, that Samsung was making moves or ahead of their competitors in the HBM4 space, we started to see a little bit of a risk-off environment overnight in the dark pools, and I'll show you that in a moment. The market used as an excuse to hammer Micron today when NVIDIA went down and the tech sector went down, and that was that rapid fall to about 402 that we saw. But the funny thing is right now, the validation for Micron couldn't be any stronger. At this level, you have a better forward PE than we had before. The price targets haven't changed for this company at all. There's many analysts that continue to be very bullish for this company. They haven't dropped. In fact, we had a number of new analysts come out and put new price targets on the company today that were higher despite the action of the stock today. So I want to jump back and I just want to show you two big trades on the tape that I think can demonstrate what we saw today. So let's jump back and take a look at that. And first, I'm going to pull us back to the chart because I want us to look at this waterfall. Remember, this was out of the gate, we dropped to 425 and then fell to 402 within the first hour. So let's take a look at the big block trades, as you can see. And on your screen here, you might be able to see it. It's actually probably about the seventh row up from the bottom. You'll see that there was a trade that occurred 1 second after the opening bell rang. It was a trade that occurred at 9:30 in 1 second. A single block trade of $66 million. This is a clear example of an institutional open cross. One major player, most likely a hedge fund or maybe even an index tracking ETF, decided to flush 154,000 shares of Micron the second the bell rang. This created an immediate supply shock, because when 65 million hits the tape at 425, it doesn't matter how strong our technical analysis was. It doesn't matter how strong the chart was from before. That sheer volume of that big stick trade or that whale trade is going to blow through any technical analysis in a major way. And that's exactly what we saw. It was this massive, large institutional open cross. This represents a massive imbalance of sell orders that accumulated overnight on the NVIDIA earnings report. Remember I said maybe it's that Samsung news that people were starting to de-risk when they heard that, and we're doing some sell orders. Look at the dark pool over to the side as well. We know that big trade happened at the opening, but if you look right below that, we saw trades for 20 million, 22 million that happened in the dark pool that were occurring as well. And so when the stock opens nearly $4 below the previous close, this gap down right through the 430 support floor that most retail traders couldn't even refresh their apps before they lost $4 or $5. It happened instantaneously. The 430 didn't break during trading hours. It was bypassed in 1 second. The market was open on that opening cross. Before the first minute was over, $65 million worth of stock was slammed into the market at 425. This triggered a massive stop loss cascade that we saw in that fall that got down to 402. It was the algorithms. There was a huge algorithmic move against Micron this morning. Those dark pools as well that you could see at the 20 and the 22 million you could see. These are institutions that were trading. And for those who are new to the channel, the dark pool is when institutions trade in a private exchange and they move big blocks and they move it in private so it doesn't affect the public price of the stock too quickly. However, when these prints were reported, they were signaling that smart money has been offloading positions quietly in the pre-market. And we were watching that 430 as retail investors. We were watching for that 430 support. The dark pools were already showing millions of dollars in the pre-market selling. That 65 million opening right at 1 second in, that's the final punch that broke the technical structure for this stock. Now let's take a look at something that's a little bullish, I said. That it gives me a little hope for tomorrow and what I'm looking for. And we'll see how the market cooperates, because we know it didn't cooperate today. But I want you to draw your attention to this massive trade right here. This was the NASDAQ closing cross that we've talked about in the past. Just take a look at that trade, guys. That is a $960 million closing cross. Almost nearly $1 billion in one single print at 415.56. Think about the mechanics here. I mean, look, that's 2.3 million shares. If a big fund or big whale thought Micron was going to drop further to 350 or 300 or continue to slide, you have to ask yourself, would they drop $1 billion on the stock at 415? I don't think so. That closing cross is what we call institutional support. While retail investors, we were looking at the sell button, the whales were using this drop, that liquidity, to fill their bags. My 430 prediction that I gave you, that technical analysis I had that floor broke, but the market just validated a massive support at 415. We are ending the day with the smart money in control. So I will come back and I will say, when you see that type of movement, that 900, almost $1 billion, we'll call it, at that closing print is the ultimate smoking gun to me that proves that although the technical level was breached, the institutional floor remains rock solid for Micron. The whales moved back in and bought at the end of the day. And while the stock ended the day down, this closing cross is highly positive for the long-term health of the stock. This tells me that institutional whales were waiting for that 415 level to catch every single share that was being sold by a panic retail or algorithmic traders. The 430 floor broke this morning, there's no question. But a new, much stronger $1 billion floor was just built at the 415 level. Big institutions don't just wait. They don't just watch the close, as I mentioned. They backed up the truck and bought nearly $1 billion of Micron at a discount at 415. I talked about those two stocks, the two big trades, 65 million at the opening cross, $1 billion almost at the closing cross. The closing volume was almost 15 times larger than the opening sell volume. That is a massive signal of institutional accumulation for Micron. So in my opinion, guys, the 430 technical floor broke because of a systematic NASDAQ-wide sell-off. It looks like the big money cleared out the retail investors, the retail smaller shops at 430 so they could buy back in the cheap. They could buy back at 410. They could buy back at 415. But the institutional floor just printed a new 415.56 floor with $1 billion conviction. The big money just bought the dip that we're all worried about. So don't let the noise shake out you and move you away from this stock when we're about to enter a major super cycle for Micron. I hope you appreciated this video. I hope you guys have a great night. Take care.